being a listener is very important. It's probably better than just blabbing around with your mouth. Having those patient ears and to be able to understand where people are coming from. Empathy goes a long way these days.
Welcome into another great week, another great conversation. I have a fellow Jayhawk with me. We love Jayhawks here on Cousins Conversations. Jose Montoya just started a new position as business development manager at Sun Country Golf House in New Mexico. Jose, how are we doing this week?
We are doing so great and so good to be reconnected with one of my favorite Jayhawks.
Hey, I appreciate the love, man. I'll give it right back to you. Take people into the position that you have right now with the Sun Country PGA and just working in the golf world?
Right. It's been so fun. I just started last month here in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, working with Sun Country Golf House. I'm helping raise funds and really essentially grow the game of golf within New Mexico and El Paso. So whenever I was on that job hunt, I really looked for something that was really passionate for growing sport in some way or another. And this is the perfect place to do it.
How have you seen golf grow there in New Mexico?
Yep. Really high levels of diversity here in the state of New Mexico. A lot of people are really getting that golf itch. It really started back in 2020. The world shut down, and what else are you going to do? And then grab a iron and go hit the golf course, right?
Exactly. I think people got into the game more, like people who never golfed before, golfing now for sure.
Yep. So I love golf so much, and it's a sport that I've been passionate about. Started playing in 2010 and have played ever since. And I know you and I, we got to hit the links in good old Lawrence, Kansas, and it's amazing how this game can take you so many different places.
That's right. Where have you improved your game the most, you think, since I played with you last?
Definitely distance. So I can hit the ball a lot farther now than I did back in 2015, 2016.
That's the way the sport is going now. So you spent 4 years at Eastern New Mexico before your new position there. What did you learn about working in athletics? Because you were an assistant athletic director. So what was your biggest takeaway from those 4 years and learning the athletic department side of things?
Yep. Definitely adjusted to being the jack of all trades, right? Being able to do gamer operations, hire all of the student workers for the last 4 years. So that meant from the person operating the scoreboard all the way to the person mopping the floor at the end of the night, right? So I had a hand in a lot of those operations, but also covering teams that saw some great levels of success despite, low resources. Saw basketball teams make it to conference tournaments and even nationals a couple times. So seeing those were so cool. And then also winning a conference tournament title. I can say I've been all 3 places I've been, we've won a men's basketball title.
There we go. Love to see that. The success carrying with you. What did you see from operating in a little bit of a smaller department versus other departments that you've seen, because you had your master's at Wisconsin and then your undergrad at KU?
Yep, it was a great adjustment going from Division I to Division II. You'll respect this because I know you've been to this place a couple times now, but got to be at Division III Knox College in Galesburg, Illinois.
Yes. Shout out Max Hutzler.
Shout out Max. I talked to Max on the phone a couple weeks ago, and he sounds like he's doing very well and that he's enjoying, that somewhat of a retirement, if you will. But that time at Knox really helped me a ton, and Eastern Mexico, great place with some great people and good environment and an even better conference. Lone Star is very tough all around, basketball, softball, baseball, you name it, it's there.
What's life like in New Mexico now that you've lived it for, 5 years now?
Yeah, basically. So it's good to be here in the land of enchantment. Some may say the land of entrapment. The state question is red or green. It's my favorite question ever. And the answer, if you don't know this, Nick, Christmas. Christmas is the answer. So that's both.
Okay, all right. So the little trivia there. Make sure you get that answer right with Jose. What made you want to get into more of the golf side and the management side now?
Yep. Obviously, my passion for the game is second to none right there. It's just love this game, love the people that surround this game, and it's amazing where the world can take you with golf. Not only being able to touch it in like tournament atmosphere, but also be able to connect people. You know, those who may not see it as an opportunity or a sport to be a part of. So whether it's juniors who never touched a club in their life, veterans who are looking for a way to have a little bit more engagement, more fun at retirement, or maybe it's women in the industry who, they see it as a male dominated sport, but at the end of the day, there's so many opportunities for women.
What specifically are your responsibilities like day to day in your position?
So essentially, I'm keeping the lights on in this building and trying to raise funds and making sure everyone stays afloat there. We can manage our tournament operations and we can bring the best experience possible for everyone, not just our PGA of America professionals, but also amateurs, juniors, etc.
Going through different athletic departments, learning how to raise money, and now trying to raise money there as well. What's the biggest factor in that realm of things? Being able to raise money.
Yep. Education. People need to know about you. People need to know you exist, what you do, and what you stand for, right? Because there's people out there willing to spend some money, especially for causes that mean the most to them. And a lot of those are youth, education, military affairs.
What made you want to go down this path? Because you at KU, you also did some news info side. You did some of that TV and that TV side of things, but I know you helped me out with a lot of sports management classes I took on the side as well. So what made you want to get into more of that side when you started school?
Yeah, I think the world of sport can take you in so many different places. And I think right now I see this as a great fit where I can share my love for a game that I'm passionate about, but also be able to grow it in an area I'm passionate about. I love the state of New Mexico, and we also represent El Paso too. So just being in this community means so much.
What has made you love New Mexico?
Well, obviously I told you about the Chile, but the weather is also really nice too because you have sun shining down you probably 330 some days of the year, and then quick rain showers. You learn to appreciate those. There's many areas like in the Midwest that rain's a little bit more common. Humidity is there. Well, we get the dry heat over here, my friend.
There you go. So does it get cold at night there, like Arizona and Nevada?
Yeah, think about like what you experience, like Arizona. More is a better comparison. Obviously, we don't get the 118 in every corner of the state. We still get that in some parts, but a little more rare.
What's the golf scene there? A lot of golfers?
Yes, I mean, we have two top 100 courses public-wise here in New Mexico, and I'm within an hour and a half of both of those. And those alone, I can put against most courses that I've been a part of as well. Albuquerque-wise, we have a lot of great courses supported by local tribes, and then city courses ran by the city of Albuquerque. They do a great job as well to be able to be a good introduction to the game for those who might not know too much about it, but there's instructors and PGA of America professionals that we support in my current role to be able to put on those programs. So there's a junior golfer who is just picking up the sticks for the first time. Can we get them involved in lessons? Can we get them involved in more youth mentorship programs? And then maybe after a year or two, they're ready for tournament golf.
What helps you work with those PGA professionals, those younger golfers? What helps you work with them and be beneficial in moving these things forward?
All about relationship building, right? Being able to be connected with those we want to support the most. Because without that relationship, well, it's really just like dollar signs moving. We need to have that face-to-face interaction. We need to host camps and clinics ourselves. So that's what we've been doing starting early this summer, and we're going to be continuing to do that throughout the year. So really excited to see how those efforts go forward, and hopefully we can introduce 1,000+ more to this game.
How have you approached that relationship building over your time? Because you've been in a lot of different places, KU, in Lawrence, Wisconsin and Madison, Knox College, Eastern New Mexico. How have you learned to develop your relationships over time and get used to that dynamic of things?
Mm-hmm. Taking the time to do in-person conversations have been very impactful for me, because that's where I've built those true friendships and those connections that build out those webs, right? And then the tree branches, they continue one after another, right? So from there, that's really helped me a ton, especially whenever I was starting at Eastern New Mexico early on. It's just like, you don't know much, right? There's very little people that going to a place that you basically know zero people there, and left that place 4 years later, and I feel like I know half the town. I really don't, but like it felt like that.
What was your biggest okay, I'm here moment, or biggest you're in shock moment when you first started there?
Over here now, would you say, or?
Yeah, when you first went to Eastern New Mexico and then to this position.
Yep. So my big shock moment for NMU had to have just been my first football weekend, right? Football's a big sport. You understand that. Obviously, we didn't get to see the greatest college football in our times as undergrads, but it's still a big deal, right? And people pay attention. People notice, from the small things to the big things: tailgating, parking spots, video board operation, stats, broadcast, right? So it's that reality of like, oh, wow, this is it, Now being here, it's going to the first couple events that I've been able to see, and just realizing that there is an impact being made, right? You don't necessarily see it behind the desk. What you do is you see it on the course. You see it in the conversations that you're having with others.
What's been that adapting process for you, going from athletics to something more specifically based within business and golf?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been really nice being able to go from one busy season to another, right? So busy season for college athletics just ended. Come here, and we're into our busy season here. So constantly going to events, meeting with people, and making sure we're staying connected with that.
What's the goal for you? You were talking about, you're raising funds and those things. What's a goal or a standard that you're trying to meet at your position?
Mm-hmm. I want to bring the resources that this staff needs to be its most successful, right? So whether that's putting $500,000 into the foundation, or maybe it's 700,000, right? It's finding ways to continually achieve those goals, so we can hire more staff to continue better our operations, better our functions, better pay for our whole staff, so you can keep retention higher, and overall it's just going to make things a lot better.
Working with people and working with staff, you've worked with a lot of different ones. What's one thing you realize that maybe people who want to get more into that side of sports as well should know?
Yep. Being a listener is very important. It's probably better than just blabbing around with your mouth. Having those patient ears, and to be able to understand where people are coming from. Empathy goes a long way these days, and being able to be keen and have a high EQ, so that emotional intelligence really plays in as well.
How have you developed that emotional intelligence over time?
Right. Paying attention to different situations that I've been a part of, right? Understanding people's backgrounds, and that I don't know the full story. A lot of times I'm not, right? We can see it from face to face like this, but if I go over to Rob and Rob says, I had a bad day, right? It's okay, now understanding, how that bad day is going to affect the next, say, 24 hours that work day, right? And how we should treat situations with that person, and understanding that from that landscape. We all have our highs, we all have our lows, and some of us share those in different ways, right? I'm the type of person that I'm not going to showcase my low, physically, but I'm going to show it, in certain parts of work or, friendship.
We're working as a team. We're talking about sports, but athletic department's a team too, and a business team at a golf. What you're doing is a team as well. So what is it about that team dynamic that makes things most successful that you've seen over time?
Mm-hmm. Well, you always need someone to double check you, right? Double check your work, double check that you're doing things that, sound right and that work most effective. Because without teamwork, you can't make the dream work, right? You catch my drift there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's the key phrase that everybody says, and it works. Yeah, and for you as well, you went and you got your master's at Wisconsin. What played into that after you had your undergrad? What more did you have to do? Any like projects or that whole evolution of that process?
Yep. Really enjoyed my master's experience. I knew I wanted to go pursue my education further post Kansas, and ideally, I was looking at 2 different schools. Ended up choosing Wisconsin. Wisconsin was a blast, and as you know, you've been to Madison before.
Oh yeah,
Those
Camp
lakes
Randall.
they're so gorgeous. Camp Randall is the environment right there, and the Big Ten academic atmosphere is just so cool to be a part of. So either way, COVID happens, get my master's degree. The first year, a lot of virtual stuff, but we finally got a breakthrough with live sports that spring. So I started volunteering. You'll love this as a Northern Illinois guy, but we had to drive to Rockford
Okay.
to go play our games at an indoor soccer pitch. And so I'd make a trip there either like 1 to 2 times a week for about a 2.5 month stretch. So
Wow.
did that, no pay with that, just kind of said, I'm going to volunteer. Let's do it. I want to be involved, and I want to show that I'm committed to this. Did official stats for them, story writing, you name it, on the SID scope of things. That next year, I get to be the student contact for the men's basketball team, win the Big Ten championship. Johnny Davis is on the team. It's a good time. Things pay off as they go. And then that following year, I get that gig at Eastern New Mexico where I'm leading a department at a young age.
How do you like reflect back on all that? Because it seems like you put in the hard work, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm leading a team now. So how do you reflect back on that time and just where the time was taking you?
Well, you enjoy those relationships and the friendships you made with others. The mentors that we had at Kansas really supported us, and they continue to do. I can call any of them today, and they'd answer the phone. They'd pick up, and they have that same excitement, that same eagerness and joy that we remember, because they want to see us succeed. They want to see us do well in whatever path we end up choosing, because not only are we representing, the honor of our alma mater, but also ourselves, our families. And so I reflect on, the early days where I'd go to regattas with you. We'd be out there just trying to understand, what exactly is the sport of rowing. And soon enough, we're basically broadcasting it.
Yeah, Saturdays at like 6 a.m. Is that how early we were there? Like, and then you're there like all day, but it was cool sitting in the boat though. I think that was a cool experience, sitting in the boat while they're rowing.
Absolutely. I ended up doing the same thing at Wisconsin as I was the lightweight rowing contact, but it's those times at Kansas that help pay off with that.
Yeah, the news info side. What did you learn about that side, the TV and the media side that helped you with the administration and business side of things?
Yep. Anyone who went through that news and information program is probably stuck forever in their brain with AP style. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
every time I read something from like coworkers and whatnot, I'm always picking at it now. And I remember I was just like, come on, why are they being so picky with it? Because it's just like small stuff that like you don't think really matters, but in reality they do based on how the reader is portraying it or how print copy is going to be needing it. So small stuff like that was very helpful, but also just portraying yourself on camera, making sure projects look neat on video and complete, right? There's certain things like having a wobbly tripod or, making sure your audio is clean and stuff like that that mean a lot in post production. It's just like, wow, those are small details that matter a ton.
I always say too, like KU, like you look back at it now and it's like, wow, I'm a great writer because those writing classes were very intense. Like you mentioned some of them, like, you always have the AP in your mind, but it's also like, I remember like one professor was like, it's always said, it's never like exclaimed or shouted. It's always said. And it's always stuck in my mind when I'm writing something or quoting something. I'm sure that goes well with what you're doing because you had to write all these different articles and things like that when you were doing that SID stuff.
Yeah, you're talking about 1-2 articles a day for the last 4 years of my life, right? And so said was always in my mind, and I'd let a few come out every now and then, but those are like those major moments, those wins, or like the stories where I had say like 5 to 6 seds in there, if you will. So like I'm sure you read it, but I wrote a story about 2 alums competing for a Super Bowl title out of ENMU, and that was a little bit more of my lengthier feature story. And I just said, let's try this, just a couple times, not much, but just enough to like put it out there. But that said, for sure, I remember that.
It's forever in the mind. What when you're doing these feature stories, when you're looking at the breadth of work that you showed, the versatility that you showed, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to work administration and work on the business side of sports?
Right. Don't be afraid to try different ways to advance your skill sets. LinkedIn has some really cool ways to get some certificates. Google has some extra ways to earn a little bit of extra education on these. Watch YouTube videos. YouTube's such a valuable resource, and I've been addicted to the platform for 17, 18 years by now, where that's where I receive a lot of the information that I'm diving into just because I love seeing it in this visual mode. But it's a really good spot. You need to be able to be willing to wear a lot of hats in this area. Sometimes, the leader at the top might not have that, but, the people who support that mission, support that drive, they're the ones that are going to be, handling all the game operations or handling all the, crossing the T's, dotting the I's type work.
What's the most important information that you always look for?
I really look for high quality teammates, right? Those who are willing to go above and beyond. Those who aren't afraid to say the word yes.
You always love somebody that says yes. That's a good person to have in your corner for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What is you started there less than a month ago. What's been your biggest thing that you've done there so far, and then what you want to keep doing?
Sure. Staying involved with events is the big one right there. And then the next is to be able to find people who want to support us, not only with the foundation side of stuff, but also through our association and through our section. We support so many great PGA of America professionals, amateurs, juniors, all over, you name it. There's so many great values that come through golf.
How do you think the game of golf can grow in Mexico?
Right. It's honestly through trying, right? Not being afraid to go out there and giving it a go. We need more professionals seeking that opportunity to teach or to have the resources to teach, right? So say their costs are a little high for a particular area or region in our state. an organization like ours can help provide that, right?
Oh, for sure. You look back at what you've been through. You've seen the Big Ten, you've seen the Big 12. How would you compare the two?
Right. So obviously, I talked about the Big Ten academic environment, and that is so incredible to witness. Big 12 environment, we already know I'm biased, but the Big 12 basketball tournament is so much fun. And you need to mark it on your calendar every March because Power and Light's just the place to be.
If the Big 12 ever moves the Big 12 tournament out of Kansas City, that would be a very, very, very sad day.
Yeah, the only place they could put it would be something like a random Ames, but we don't want to give a home court advantage to a certain school.
No, and let's not put it in Vegas or anything like that. For these West Coast schools, let's keep it in Kansas City. And it is the best basketball conference. We can say that. I mean, Big Ten might have something to say about that, but Big 12 is where it's at. You were in the Big 10, Big 12, Knox, Eastern New Mexico. Now the golf world. Where do you see this going next for you? What's that next thing?
Right, it's continuing to find those successes within the golf industry and making sure that we're continuing to do the best here in Rio Rancho and supporting those in New Mexico and El Paso and trying to drive for that success.
Who's a golfer that you're watching a lot?
Yep. So when it comes to PJ, obviously you and I talked a lot last month about Rory, so that's been a huge follow for sure. JJ Spawn's been big in the game too, so trying to follow those within the tour and through the different majors that we've seen so far this year. When it comes to live and whatnot, I've been an Ian guy since 2010. So yeah, still love to see him. And he finally had a decent start in Washington, D.C. Just didn't pan out for him on the last round.
New irons for him too. Him and Justin Rose doing the new irons with McLaren there. That's kind of interesting to see how that'll go going forward. You hope to have some future PGA Tour golfers there with you in New Mexico?
So yeah, we got a few golfers within like UNM, New Mexico State on that side who have done well. UNM had a good run this year. Collegiately, they just couldn't make it out of the regional to make it to the final stage. We're really excited to see how that continues to grow.
I've always known you as a great personality, fun person to be around. What would people say about you that work with you?
Well, definitely hope I bring that smile to the environment, right? There's nothing like a smile in the morning can't fix, right?
Exactly. We love seeing Jose's face around. Every time I saw him, always a bright light, and always knew that he would bring positive vibes to everybody. So he's in the perfect spot. Jose, I appreciate you sharing some knowledge here with me and hanging out on Cousins Conversations.
Always great, and definitely can't wait till we get to come back to be able to talk more golf and get to hear so many good news about all of our great Jayhawks.
Exactly. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. New episodes weekly with different guests like Jose. And Jose, we wish him the best as he goes forward here with his business within the golf world there at Sun Country in New Mexico.